This summer marks 6 years with our Toro TimeCutter zero-turn mower. And a lot of people have been asking, after all this time, how is it holding up? Well, we're going to answer that question in today's video. Now, over the last 6 summers, I have received a lot of comments about the Toro TimeCutter, a lot of questions. In fact, one of our first videos was how to start and operate the Toro TimeCutter zero-turn mower as someone who had never been an operator before of a zero-turn mower. Over those last 6 years, we've learned a lot about mowing with a zero-turn mower. We actually have 2 of them now, 2 Toro TimeCutters, but this is the one I hop on the most, and I'm going to talk to you about why that is, as well as here we are in the 6th summer with it. How's it holding up? A couple of things I really like, a couple of things that I'm a little bit disappointed in. We're gonna get into all that in today's video. Now, those of you who watch the channel know it isn't normally this clean. In fact, I receive a lot of comments about how I should be washing this mower more often. But I use this as a work tool, and our yard stays pretty wet. So if I'm out here mowing once, twice a week, this time of year, it gets muddy pretty quickly. And I could spend time, and I know a lot of people, after every mow, they wash their machine. Some people even wax their machine after every mow. To be quite honest, I don't have the time to do that. I do like to keep my things nice. I definitely don't abuse them. There are some channels like Whistling Diesel where he just takes really nice stuff and destroys it. That drives me crazy. I like to take good care of my stuff, but I'm not the type of person that's gonna wash and wax this after every single time I mow. So as far as how is it holding up, it's holding up really well. The tires are still in good shape. I still wish these were the little bit more all-terrain tires like are on the other zero-turn mower that we have. These ones, they spin a little bit more, and I find that that actually digs up the yard more. The little bit wider, blockier tread on the other zero-turn mower, while you would think it would tear up the yard more, it doesn't spin as much, so it doesn't tear up the yard as much. The other thing is the deck. The deck is holding up really well. We mow at a cemetery a lot, so you know I'm getting pretty close to those headstones. Sometimes I make a little bit of contact. This is a good iron forged, fabricated deck, heavy duty deck, has done really well. The dolly wheels on the front, I do like these dolly wheels on the front. You can see this one's actually bent out a little bit. The metal is bent, but this is the original dolly wheel. I do hit that grease circ with the grease gun once in a while, but it's holding up really well, even though it does have a little bit of a bend out to it now. The rest of the deck, there is no rust, there's no holes. You know, we're 6 years in, and the paint for the most part is intact. I noticed when I washed it today, there is a spot right here where the paint flaked off, and there's a scrape right there. There's a couple of flaked off spots at the back, but for the most part, this paint and this deck are doing extremely well after 6 years of use. Now, the yard that we're in now looks pretty nice, pretty manicured yard. But I use this not only at the cemetery and in our yard, but kind of through the woods too, to keep some trails mowed down. And that's not the best place to use a zero-turn mower, but I do it to keep the trails open. Obviously, I'm doing it frequently enough that it's not like running it like a brush hog, but it is some higher grass, some thicker grass, and this thing does just fine. Looking at the front end here, this is what gets the most of my attention, is airing the tires up. There are plugs all through these tires. I've tried to patch them over time, but we have so many crabapple trees and thorns around here that these get a lot of pricks. Now, even though it's a pain to fill them up because the valve stem is located inside the frame of the tire here, and sometimes it's hard to get your air chuck in there to air up these tires. I do it pretty much every time I mow. It's probably time for me to consider taking these off, putting a new tube in them or another solution to that. But that's the spot I give the most maintenance to on this machine, is just the regular airing up of these front tires. I love how wide they are. They float really well, but they do take the thorns and it creates some leaks in them. I said in the beginning a couple things I really liked about the Toro TimeCutter when we did our initial review video. The speed control, I still use this all the time. Out here in the open yard, full speed all the way. If I'm mowing around trees and stuff at the cemetery and around the headstones, I'm in the medium mode here. And then when Jennifer was first learning to drive, and when I was first learning to drive, we did use the turtle speed. I also still really like the deck height adjustment. Use your foot, put your pin in the deck height level you want it to be at. Super easy, you know exactly how high you're cutting the grass. And then, of course, learning how to drive the zero-turn mower. I made a video about 5 things to remember if you're trying to learn how to do this. I'll put a link to that up above. If you're new to zero turns, I recommend you watch that video. But now that I'm entering my 6th summer mowing with this machine, I'm pretty comfortable with the zero turn controls. The only thing I don't like as a YouTube content creator is it's about impossible for me to drive one-handed and try to film with the GoPro or my phone. It's really difficult to, at least for me, steer with one hand. I got to keep both hands on the controls here to make a nice straight line down the yard. Last summer, we did have to replace the discharge chute on the mower. All I'll say is for the first 5 years, never had a problem with it. Jennifer learned to drive this mower last year. All of a sudden I had to replace the chute. I don't know. We've made lots of videos about maintenance on this machine. The oil change is super easy to do. Obviously the air filter is super easy to do. We made a video before the start of this summer about doing those maintenance things. And then I've got a couple videos about oil changes here with this commercial V-twin 24.5 horsepower Toro engine on the Toro TimeCutter. Another thing that we've done, and I do have a video of it, is replace this battery. You can see there's some grass and stuff in there. Needs cleaned out or blown out with the blower at least. But we have replaced this battery. That's a simple and easy thing to do on this Toro TimeCutter. I'll put a link to that video up above and in the description. I did mention that when I'm going out to mow, between the 2 Toro TimeCutters we have, I get on this one the most often. Now granted, the ride on the other Toro TimeCutter that does have the MyRide suspension, way smoother. I can't even compare the two. The difference is night and day as far as the smoothness of the ride across our rough yard. So why do I get on this one the most often? It's that 60-inch deck. Look how far that extends beyond my tire. I use that all the time to get closer to trees when circling around them, to go along the ditch. So my tires are here on the edge. The deck is covering over top of the ditch and it gets a lot further reach than I could do with the smaller deck. So the 60-inch deck 100% is the reason that I get on this Toro TimeCutter the most often. And it's because of not only the width of the deck, but it's because of how far it extends beyond the tires on this left-hand side when you're sitting on the seat. Now I have several machines that do multiple things. The Toro TimeCutter, all I do with it is mow. I've never once taken the deck off of this. In fact, I don't even know why you'd want to take the deck off of this. As far as I know from the dealership, they recommend that there's no reason to take the deck off of this. Even to change the blades out, which I've never done. This is our 6th summer. I've never changed those blades out. Even to do that, they recommend you just jack up the front of the machine appropriately, and then you can do your work to the blades underneath the machine safely with the appropriate type of equipment to lift up the front of this machine. The fuel gauge, it's not ideal. It's hard to see in some sunlight, but at least when I'm getting this out of the building, I do have an easy way to see how much fuel's in it, and this nice big filler makes it really nice to fill this thing up. It does go through its fair amount of gas. Now, obviously, if you have a machine for mowing, one of the most important things is the cut quality. And I'll say the cut quality on both of the Toro TimeCutters is better than anything else I've ever cut the grass with. And I think it is the blade tip speed. Those blades are cutting so fast and you're moving so fast, so it's necessary for those blades to be spinning fast, but it makes a really nice clean cut across the yard. The other nice thing is this heavy duty iron forged deck and the 60-inch width really make the yard look level, when in reality, if you're riding on the machine or if you've walked across this yard, you know that there's a lot of dips and divots. They kind of get smoothed out by that nice wide deck on both this TimeCutter and the other TimeCutter that we have. Now, over the years, a lot of people have had questions about these hydrostatic drives. I don't know that much about them. I believe these are non-serviceable, but again, this is our 6th summer and we've not had a single issue with either drive or any reason to need to service those in the first place. We do our regular maintenance on this machine, so oil changes, air filter. We did replace the fuel filter just this spring. So yes, we do our upkeep to this machine, but we don't baby it. It does a lot of mowing work all summer long and it's doing great. So here we are in our 6th summer and I've had to do very little to this machine. It has mowed this yard many times over the last 5 years. And I've had to do very little. I've had to replace the battery, no big deal. Of course, the regular maintenance and oil changes, no big deal. Filling air in those front tires, kind of a pain. I have tried to plug the holes, but still they leak slowly over time. Definitely how a piece of equipment will hold up over the long haul is one of the things I consider when I'm looking to make a purchase. So if you're looking today at either a used Toro Time Cutter to see how much longer will it last you, or a new one to see how long will it last, I can tell you with my experience from this one, we're in our 6th summer, no complaints. In fact, I don't think I'd ever go back to mowing this lawn any other way except in the springtime. So in our next video, you'll hear me explain why in the springtime, I use the Toro Time Cutter less than the John Deere riding mower. All that in the next video. We've got lots of other videos about the Toro Time Cutter as far as maintenance, mowing in high grass, mowing at different speeds, mowing a 5-acre piece of land. How long does that take? All that information is in the playlist for Toro Time Cutter, which I will link to down below in the description. If you're considering one of these, give those videos a look. And as always, thank you for watching. We really appreciate you spending your time here with us at Purple Collar Life. Give us a thumbs up if you found the video enjoyable and entertaining, and leave those comments down below. We look forward to seeing you again the next time. Little bonus tip here at the end. If you saw in the beginning, the black wasn't quite as shiny as I wanted it to be for the video since I took the time to wash this all up. So I used that SC1, not a sponsored video, but I used that SC1 to make all the plastic on my Polaris Ranger, my XT250, and my zero-turn mowers look nice and shiny. It actually also really helps to clean them the next time because it provides a protective barrier that the dust and stuff makes it much easier to just blow off with the Stihl blower or anything like that. So easier to clean, and it looks really sharp.
Serviceable.